Hello, fellow warrior. Let's talk about 5 valuable lessons learned from children. We think of ourselves as the teachers, which of course we are. Think about the amount of information and tasks and concepts that children have to learn, especially in the first few years of their lives. In fact, I was talking about this with my niece the other day. Her daughter just turned 2, and I was just looking at her and thinking, wow, isn't it amazing just in the first 2 years of life what she's had to learn? In fact, when it was her birthday, I said, think about that. Just the concept of this is your birthday. You've lived for 2 years. I'm sure she has no idea what a week is, let alone a year. So think about that. There are so many things going into these little brains. And so, yes, we are here to guide them and teach them, and they learn from us. But we can learn amazing, incredible things from children. And remember, we used to be children. We used to have these things. They used to be a part of who we were. And then life hits us, right? It beats us up. We come against people who don't have our best interest at heart. People who are negative, cynical. We try something and it doesn't work out. We think of ourselves as failures. Sometimes we have betrayal. We have trauma. These traumatic experiences. We start to be concerned about what other people think. And we start to lose some of these childlike qualities. Of course, in many ways, we have to stop being children. We have to grow up. We have to become adults. Darn it, I know. I wish it weren't true. But there are qualities that we should try to get back. These lessons learned from children. The first thing is that children have imagination. And yes, a lot of adults continue with imagination, but I don't think we even begin to tap what is still in the reservoir of our imagination. And it can seem, especially in this age of information and no peace and quiet and stillness, that our brains are just clogged, right? Do you ever go into a room and go, what am I doing in here? What was I going to do? Why did I come in here? It's happening more and more, unfortunately. It's just information overload. And so it might feel like you don't have any room in your clogged up brain for imagination. But we all know the science that says we are only using a very, very small portion of our brain. I'm talking about having dreams and visualizing things, being creative. And even if you don't consider yourself creative, I never considered myself creative because I'm not able to draw, paint. I mean, I like to say I draw stick figures and they're bad ones. I mean, if you can mess up a stick person, that's me. Cannot get that from my brain to my hand. So I used to think, oh, well, since I can't do any of those type of art things, I'm not creative. But I found out I'm creative in a lot of other ways, in my storytelling and in teaching and creating visuals and ways for people to learn and understand themselves and better themselves. So that's creative. So when you think about this imagination, don't always think of it as, that you're going to grow up and be a princess or going to slay the dragon as children do. What it really is more when I'm talking about imagination, they don't close down their options. How many little kids say, I'm going to be a fireman, I'm going to go to the moon, I'm going to be the president, whatever it is, and they just keep going through all the things. They have belief and hope. And the older we get, we start to lose that. So that's my first valuable lesson learned from children. Get your imagination back. The next thing is having the faith of a child. And you can relate this to having faith in God or whatever it is you believe spiritually. You can have that faith for sure in something bigger than you. Belief in your maker, belief in where you're going after we leave this earth. But what's interesting is children, let's talk about that for a minute, then I'm going to talk about faith in a different way. But children just believe, right? I can remember being a little kid and I didn't grow up going to church. I did for a really short couple of different spurts. And I remember being baptized when I was about 6 years old at my Nana's church. But I didn't have that spiritual upbringing, but I had this knowing I guess let me put it that way, knowing that God was
Whatever
there.
beast has attached
And it didn't
itself
always
to
keep you
you,
from danger
whatever
or
trauma
fear or
you've
anything like that, but it's
experienced,
just
you
like I
can
knew
learn
he
to
was there.
overcome,
And
to
of course,
disrupt your
I
trauma
feel like
for
I'm
good.
much more faith-filled
Subscribe
now.
to this channel
I have
and
a
link
lot more
arms with
knowledge.
me at ValerieSilveira.com.
I'm seeking after God. I wasn't really necessarily seeking on some high level as a child, but I question things. I try to use my logic and figure things out where I didn't do that when I was a child. And so I think if we can, just get that childlike faith back, and that includes the childlike faith in yourself, maybe faith in another person that you're connected with, a spouse or a business partner, a friend, somebody else. Have faith in each other. Have faith of a child, the imagination and the faith of a child. Okay, the third thing, this is a valuable lesson. Children are confident, right? Oh my gosh, kids are always going, look at me, look what I can do, even if it's something minor. They're marveling. I guess it goes back to all of the things that they've had to learn. They marvel at each one. Look what I can do, look at me. Then what happens? We lose our confidence somewhere along the way, and we start saying, don't look at me. I can't do that. Now, I want you to think about this. Children have tried and failed dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Let's just talk about learning to tie your shoes. I can just picture a little kid down there. I picture my little Jamie or Sean down there, no, let me do it. Trying to tie their shoe, getting it wrong, getting frustrated, and trying over and over and over until they could tie that shoe. That could be considered failure after failure after failure after failure, and on and on. What if, as a child, you just said, forget it. I can't tie a shoe. How am I going to tie a shoe? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough to tie my shoe. So you just spend the rest of your life in Velcro or slippers. You get what I'm saying? They don't give up. They have confidence. Somewhere deep down in their little souls is the belief that someday they're going to tie that darn shoe. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want us to do. Start believing that we can tie our shoes. Start believing that those are not failures. They're continued effort. We're learning and growing. We're getting stronger. We're getting more confident. We're having more belief in ourselves. Here's a tip for feeling more confident. Think of a time in your life when you felt really confident, and it could be when you were a child. Doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with what you were confident about, but I want you to go back and revisit it. Go back and think about it. Just sit in a quiet place with no distractions, no noise, and just visualize it. Visualize that time when you felt so confident. What did it feel like? Not what did it look like so much. What did it feel like? And run that movie over and over and over so you can start feeling those feelings of confidence, and then you're going to crave them. You're going to want to feel more confident. So, children have imagination, they have faith, and they're confident. This fourth valuable lesson learned from children is that they don't judge. Now, let me first say that judgment is okay. It's okay for us to judge certain things. How else do we measure things? How do we know what things to buy? How do we know what things to try? How do we know what kind of a friend we want to, be with? Do I want to be with that friend? Do their values align with mine enough for me to want to spend time with them? It's okay to judge certain things. What I'm talking about is children don't size everything up and analyze everything half to death before they figure anything out. Have you noticed that children make friends in about 3 nanoseconds? Where we're a little more standoffish, what do I think about them? What do they think about me? I'm not saying to go head first into every relationship only to find out this person is not a good person. But they just don't have preconceived notions about people. They're a little more open to learning, a little more open to just being around people and figuring them out. They don't think about it. And that would serve us well too. Okay, the fifth valuable lesson learned from children I call banana in, bad mood out. And this one could be the best piece of advice you get. So you hear me talk about this German son that I have. And I figure it probably conjures up thoughts of what did I do? Go to Germany and leave a kid behind? No. Actually, Rafi came to live with us in high school when both he and Sean were in high school, and he was actually an exchange student through Rotary. We weren't in Rotary, but through a series of events, he met us and really wanted to come live with us. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions we ever made was having him come live with us because he's become family. And this has been about, 16 years now. And other than COVID, he has come back and visited every year. And now he has a beautiful wife, Mona, and 2 children. In fact, his daughter, his first child, is Amelia Val. Yep, her middle name. She's named after me, and I'm her godmother. And so the second child is called Leonard. We call him Lenny. Cutest little thing. They're both incredible kids. Lenny just has this little spirit. And so this particular story is about Lenny. And they were visiting, and what happens is when they come in, they usually don't try to find the best flight they can. Remember, there's such a time difference between Germany and the United States. And so they fly, who knows through how many time zones and without much sleep. So this last time they flew in, they flew to LA. We were living in Palm Springs, California at the time. They flew in, they'd been flying all night, and they had to get their car, go through customs, all of that, and then drive a couple of hours to get to us. So, of course, we're all excited to see them, and we've got some close family that lived near us gathered for dinner. Now, remember, they haven't seen us for a year, and the cool thing is, though, is that Rafi and Mona talk about us all the time. We see each other in video, so they keep us alive to them, but still, here, they don't know English that well. And here they come into this house, and all these people are speaking that English language. They're tired. They've got foreign food. And so I had made something that, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just thinking about Rafi. He eats anything. So anyway, whatever it was, Leonard was not that interested in eating. And they're very polite kids, but he was just so tired. And next thing you know, he's crying and he's talking to his dad in German. I have no idea what's going on over there, but I'm kind of figuring out that he doesn't like the food. His dad's trying to convince him to try it. He's not having it. Okay. He's just too exhausted. So he's got tears streaming down his cheeks, So Mona goes into the kitchen and gets a banana. She comes in and hands him the banana. He takes one bite of the banana and a huge smile spreads across his face. He says something in German and they crack up. The translation was this: banana in, bad mood out. That's what this little, I can't remember if he was 2 or 3 now, year-old said. Banana in, bad mood out. What incredible advice. How long does it take for us to get out of a bad mood? I mean, it can be weeks or months for some people. Maybe an entire day that we waste in a bad mood. I mean, this kid has gone through all this stuff. He's completely wiped out, got himself to a state of crying. And all it took was one bite of a banana to get him out of his bad mood. So that's my 5th valuable lesson to be learned from children. Banana in, bad mood out. Okay, here's the recap. This is literally just 5 things. Start watching children. Start thinking about what it was like for you to be a child or when your children were young. And start thinking about ways that you can be more childlike. And while you're the teacher, become the student too. Have imagination. Have more faith, the childlike faith. Confidence. Children are confident. They don't have these snap judgments. And the 5th one, banana in, bad mood out. So while you're disrupting your trauma, while you're trying to learn how to be courageous, while you are working on becoming happier, more confident, be sure to use these 5 valuable lessons learned from children. They can really help you, and your story matters. So live it courageously. Whatever beast has attached itself to you, whatever trauma you've experienced, you can learn to overcome, to disrupt your trauma for good. Subscribe to this channel and link arms with me at ValerieSilveira.com.